Okay, now we're going to do the installation on the shock. So basically what you're going to get in your kit, it'll be something like this. It's going to have, 4 different sections, and the basic kit that everybody needs really is something like this. It covers 8.5 inches by 20 inches, so you can cover a variety of shocks in length, and there's enough to go around the diameter of the shock. So set that aside. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to need to clean this, make sure it's clean. If they're brand new, it's not going to be too difficult, but all you need to do is wipe it down with like a wet paper towel, something like this, and dry it off. You want it to be completely dry. You don't need to use any water or anything like that for the installation. And then the next thing you want to do is determine how long the piece needs to be. So a lot of the newer shocks aren't like this. They're just the same diameter all the way out to these outer edges. They're going to be really easy to install. You don't really need to do anything other than just put it on in one piece. Something like this, where it kind of tapers down at the ends, which are the older style shocks, probably the most common. You need to determine how big this center section is. And so you just take a measurement from here to here where it starts to taper, and you want to cut a section off this that's going to be the same width. The easiest way to do is with just like a razor knife of some kind, like you see here. The other option you have would be to use scissors if that's what you have around the house or around the shop. So basically you just need to go from where it starts to taper on each end and make that cut there. And I will do that now here with this knife. So now this is the excess piece that we'll use for the ends, and this is the main piece that we're going to use for the center. Now the way it works is it's just like a big sticker. Pull the liner off, put the film on. Now one thing that's important is to determine what's going to be the back of the shock, because this obviously is going to have a seam after it wraps all the way around, and so you want to have that hidden. So determine which side of the shock's going to be not exposed and start there. So on this particular shock, it's right here. And just grab it and put some tension on both sides so it's nice and straight. And then start to rub it out. You can lift it up if you have any little bubbles or anything. And then you want to work on a clean surface. If it sticks to itself, that's not a big deal. So now that I've got it started on the shock, just tack it down on a nice clean surface, and then back it up a little bit there. There was a little bubble. Just go back and forth with your finger and roll it. Just continue to roll it. As you get to near the end, you won't really need to use your finger. And then now you're to the point to where you're just doing the last couple inches. And the Bilsteins or any of the brushed aluminum ones are really easy because that brush texture makes it so that it's really easy to not have any bubbles at all in it. These, where they're just painted, they don't have that porous texture, so they're a little more difficult to put on without any bubbles. You will need a razor knife though at the end here to cut off the excess. So you can see where that taper is on the end, and then you just take your knife, your razor knife. I use my finger here to guide me, and just roll it. Now I've cut around all the edge there where I have some extra material, and cut that excess off. Do the same thing on the other side. Make sure it's down everywhere you want it down. Now where the film overlaps the two layers, it's easier to put a little pressure on there to make sure you're getting through both. And then just unroll it and remove it. Now we have the center section of the shock done. Now, I don't know if you can see this in the video or not, but you're going to need one of these razor knives regardless, but there's a little bubble here that I had trapped, and on the edge of the bubble, if you just put a little slice, you can push that little air pocket out. So there you go. So now that's cut and wrapped. Now you still have this section here that's left over to do these two end pieces, and if you have enough you can actually do these end caps. That's optional, obviously. So you just kind of estimate how much you're going to need. Looks like it's going to be about 1.5 inches. So you cut that off, go back to where your seam started so they match. Like this. Especially on these white shocks, it's important to have clean hands. Now this one you just kind of roll it, mash it down. Now right here, I don't know if you can see that, but there's some bubbles. If that's what happens, just pull it back and start over. These curved areas are a little more challenging, so that's why you have to do them in 2 pieces. So after all that is installed, just cut off your excess. Try to get it flat around any of the edges where you're going to cut off any excess. And this overlaps, it's no big deal. On these curved ones, it's pretty normal for it to kind of walk to the side as you wrap it on because of the curvature. And you just let it overlap, it's no big deal. And then you just repeat that on the other side. Now if you have enough material, which most likely you will, if you want to protect this end piece, you can. They don't seem to get beat up nearly as much as this center section of the body does. And that is a shock that will last. You know, you just have to repeat that same process on this other side and you're good to go. The kit covers 4 shocks and the pieces are 8.5 by 20. So you'll get these sections here, and they run for a kit $59.99 for the 6mm film. And if you want to go with the 12mm film, it's twice as thick, and for more extreme applications you might consider that. It runs $89.99 for that. And you can expect at least 5 years out of this. It has a 5-year warranty, but I have it on a vehicle I demoed earlier to you. That one is 8 years old, and I have some of the same material in a vehicle that's 10 years old. So you can expect it to last a lot longer than that. If anything does happen to this material, say you actually do get some chips, it's as easy as removing it, and if you want to replace it you can, but you just start on an edge. You want to make sure it's like 70 degrees when you do this. It's just as easy as peeling it off. You've got your brand new shock underneath, and you can replace it if you need to, or do whatever you'd like to at that time.